Welcome to Tuesday, the 4th day of March, 2025. We kind of got suckered in with that weekend of how nice and spring-like and just how pleasant it was. And now we're finding out what March can really do. And boy, for a lot of the U.S. and a lot of the western United States over the next few days, there's a lot going on weather-wise. Now, the storm that came through and jumped over the Continental Divide late yesterday and last night is blowing up and becoming a very intense storm in the Central Plains and will be causing a huge swath of stormy weather across the nation, as we'll show you here in a minute. The backside of this system will produce wind and snow showers along the Continental Divide and across parts of the central northern Rockies region. But the main event, in terms of where the storm will bring the heaviest snow, the most widespread snow, is going to be out into the plains. But we'll see plenty of wintry weather today with wind, cold, and snow showers across the Rockies. Then there's a break in the action Wednesday. The storm heads out east, and then we queue up the next system. We mentioned yesterday that the second system, for a lot of you, will be more impactful than this first one. I think we kind of over-focused on this first one. The second one, I think, for a lot of you, especially, as you'll see here in a moment, across a large swath of Wyoming and Idaho and Utah and Colorado, this next system will cover a larger area and will probably bring much heavier moisture than this first one did. So stock growers and travelers, be ready, especially livestock interests who might be in calving or lambing operations. We're going to show you the swath that you'll need to be ready for cold, wet weather coming in here starting Wednesday night into Thursday and Friday. We'll have a break in the weather this weekend. Then two storms are coming next week. One around late Tuesday and Wednesday, and another one by next Friday and the following Saturday. So as we've been showing you, the storms in the Pacific queued up to come through about every 2 or 3 days. And La Nina, yep, we can show you some of the updated sea surface temperature anomalies. It's about done. It's going away and fading fast. Now, a lot of sky watchers yesterday were given a treat. We had a treat of those deep blue skies over the weekend, those high cirrus clouds, just beautiful cloudscape over the weekend under that fair weather. Now, this is just a classic angry-looking March sky as showers and thunderstorms. Yes, a lot of you probably heard lightning, saw lightning and heard thunder for the first time this season yesterday in some areas. I know I did. Usually March is the month where you start to get that activity picking up again. So we had a lot of showers and a lot of virga and a lot of scary looking clouds yesterday that did turn up into showers and thunderstorms. A lot of snow pellets mixed in with the rain accumulating in many of those areas. And dark skies, a little bit foreboding there in South Park. And you can see those clouds really came together. Now, Jan Curtis again has done it, put together another awesome time lapse in the Cheyenne area as those showers and thunderstorms came together and formed, first with strong downdrafts and virga, as you can see there. Then as the instability grew, as the moisture was able to gather, as the storm was jumping the divide and intensifying, started to put together those showers a little bit more widespread. Then ended up producing those thunderstorms. As you can see, the clouds thickening, growing, increasing, getting lower. So it's that time of year. Things get a lot more busy, and Mother Nature is really syncing up with the calendar very, very well. Of course, after the storms or before the storms, you get beautiful scenes like this out of Granby, and before the clouds really rolled in the Rapid City area yesterday. The satellite photo this morning shows a line of heavy thunderstorms on the leading edge of the low. And if we were to kind of show you the shape, we showed you this very elongated shape of the low here where the clouds are forming. The counterclockwise rotation is elongated. But on the back side, there's cold, moist air coming in on the back. And that's going to lead for some very windy conditions with snow showers. While out here on the plains, it is going to just get really stormy. And then a lot of severe weather will be in this part of the country here. The low, as we showed you yesterday, was going to jump the divide, rapidly intensify, which it is doing right now. And there you can see the elongation of the structure. So there's really no easterly flow or upslope against the front range. So the opportunity to develop a prolonged upslope event just not there. But this type of pattern is going to send a lot of energy and a lot of moisture, a lot of instability as it heads across the nation. If you're getting on a plane or traveling across the U.S., today through tonight into tomorrow morning, you're going to have a bumpy ride and you're likely going to be running into delays. The radar this morning showing the extent of this low and its circulation. There's the line of thunderstorms. Showers and thunderstorms, they'll be developing out ahead of the low. Then on the back side, you can see the blue where the snow is. The snow will get really organized in this axis right here, as you'll see in a moment. By tomorrow morning, it's quickly into the Corn Belt. We have this little high pressure ridge coming in, giving us a break in the west, but here's the next low coming on in. So when we take a look at the severe weather threat today, you can see there's an enhanced area here. So it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of how much severe weather they get in terms of severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, hail, heavy rain, especially in those yellow areas right here where you see the ENH for enhanced. Very rapidly, that enhancement goes along the east coast and affects those areas there tomorrow. Look at the swath of weather associated with this storm. See all this brown? All of these brown areas are for strong winds. Out here as well, red are blizzard warnings. So on the back side of the low, where the wind and the snow will come together, blizzard conditions may develop at times across a good chunk of Nebraska there, a good chunk of Iowa, even back into northeast Kansas, and winter storm warnings and advisories further north. These advisories and watches right here are for the next storm. We'll show you that here in a minute. These areas right here as well. Huge winds. When we focus in a little bit closer, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but winter storm watches have now been posted for the next storm that's coming in Wednesday night, Thursday, and Friday from Casper to Lander to Riverton, back into Star Valley here for along the front range of the Bighorns, front range near the Cody area down to Thermopolis. These blue areas will expand. We're likely going to see winter storm watches extend into these areas later on, but we got to take care of the first storm first. We talked about the wind. These are the wind gusts through the next 48 hours, and you can see extremely strong winds in the Panhandle, along I-70 here, across New Mexico and Texas, out into the plains, just huge winds. And look how big the geographic scope of the winds are. This is the same map, same colors here, but look at the swath of heavy winds. When we get into these orange areas here, you're looking at wind gusts of more than 50 miles an hour over a very large area. I talked about a bumpy ride if you were going to be flying. Wow, a ton of wind over a lot of the nation from this strong spring storm. That's what happens when you get into March and April. You get these storms that are more intense. There's a bigger contrast between the cold up here and the warmer temperatures that are developing in the lower latitudes. It's just classic March weather. And this is the precipitation shield that happens over the next 48 hours. So you can see the heavier band of snow that'll be right here, then heavy precipitation in Iowa going up through these areas here, and then a lot of this with the severe thunderstorms. This moisture is the moisture rotating on the back side of the low that'll be producing occasional snow in the mountains and a few snow showers on the plains today. Then here is the next low approaching the west coast. So let's now look at the snowfall with this system through the next 48 hours. You can see this band of heavier snow from the Sandhills up through parts of the upper Midwest. Now let's take a look at storm number 2. It's a bit of a different animal. It's not one of these that jumps the divide and rapidly intensifies. It's actually going to split, sending one piece of energy across the Rockies tomorrow night into Thursday and Friday morning, and another branch will then take a swing south through Arizona and New Mexico. Both paths of these systems, as they come through, along the path will be some decent moisture. So by Thursday morning, the next low is in Northern California. And you can see there's a little bit of a dimple right here. There's actually going to be a piece of this storm that breaks off and then heads right across this area here, bringing with it cold, moist air. There it is. By Thursday morning, it looks like this. By Thursday afternoon, it breaks off, and then it rolls right across southern Wyoming. Then, by Saturday morning, that system rapidly heads into the Great Lakes, kind of dissipates, but see how that next low breaks off and goes down into Arizona and New Mexico. So that's going to produce precipitation down here, then out into the southern plains. This wave right here is going to bring an east to west axis of snowfall and much colder temperatures Wednesday night through Friday morning along its path. So it's a system that comes in and splits into two parts. So this is the moisture that comes in with this second wave. Notice this east to west axis right here. This is going to be an area where there's going to be moderate to heavy snowfall from late Wednesday night into early Friday morning. And then as this other low wants to come and swing down here, it's going to bring heavy snow to the mountains of southern Colorado, southern Utah, even Arizona finally getting into the mix. Northern areas of New Mexico as well. Snow in the mountains of California. And if we were to zoom in a little bit closer and take a look at the snowfall, there's a pretty good axis. Now, don't take these numbers that you see here verbatim. Remember, trend is your friend. But you can see there's an enhancement of pink along that west to east axis right here where the snow is going to be heavier. This is a much higher confidence level situation with snowfall along the path of these two storms as compared to the storm that we're just getting through right now. When storms jump the divide and reorganize on the plains, it's always very hard for the models to try to figure things out as you just witnessed. But this is a more cut and dry situation. So for a large part of eastern Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah here, this will be a pretty good storm. So stock growers, be ready. This is a system that really is going to focus on the Pine Ridge area of Nebraska, southern South Dakota. So as you go to Chadron Alliance, to Lusk, to Douglas, to Casper, this is a system that really focuses in on, it's a good storm in the sense good meaning it's the type of system that will drop a lot of snow and Lander and maybe even into the Riverton area, South Pass area. This area too, along I-80, the mountains of southern Wyoming, southwestern Wyoming, the western valleys, the mountains and areas near Cody, the Bighorns. Notice that we have two areas that aren't going to get as much. Along and north of I-90, and we've got a bit of a snow hole here for northeastern Colorado south of the Cheyenne Ridge. Now, these holes may migrate north or they migrate south a little bit, but it's this west to east axis. If you're along this line I just drew, or north and south of it, you're going to be affected the most. So it's the second storm that's going to be more impactful. So it's going to be one that's going to be a wet spring snow. We won't have a lot of wind with this one, not nearly as much as this current system, but nonetheless, livestock interests, be ready for cold, wet conditions Wednesday night through Friday along that path. Then we get a break over the weekend. Then by Tuesday, we have another quick moving low come through. I don't think this will turn into a big storm, but as it comes through, it'll deposit a significant amount of snow in the mountains. We'll probably see snow for Montana, northern Wyoming, and the western Dakotas with this wave as it comes through, with snow in the mountains also down here. This next wave is the one that's going to come in behind this one, and that one's going to arrive. We showed you that 14th and 15th time frame of March to kind of keep an eye on. And see how it is on an angle like this? We call this a negatively tilted trough. Negatively tilted troughs, as we get in March, April, and May, as they come over the Rockies, are the ones that really have the potential to rapidly intensify and be slower, more organized, and more upslope. So we'll just have to see if the system for the 14th and 15th develops, but we're keeping an eye on it. So we have two more storm systems next week, so there'll be plenty to talk about longer term. Quick La Nina update. Over the last 7 days, this shows you how much the sea surface temperature anomaly has changed. The orange, yellow colors here show where the temperatures over the last 7 days have gone up on the sea surface. So you see these orange areas here right along the equator from South America sticking out further west across the tropical Pacific here. If you take a look at what's happened in the last 7 days here, then compared to the last readings, look at the warmth that is rapidly expanded off the coast of South America. And as the wind directions change with these warmer water temperatures, it'll be expanding this warmth along the equator more to the west, eating away at the blue here. So basically, La Nina is in its death throes right now. And if we take a look at the measurement, first of all, this area I'm showing you on the graph is what we call Nino 1 and 2. It's gone completely positive. No more negative sea surface temperature anomalies. They were not long ago, but look at this rapid increase in sea surface temperature anomalies there. Further out west, 3-4, which is going to be this area here. If we take a look at the graph, it's still negative, but barely, and the 0.5 Celsius negative threshold has been surpassed. So it's fading away fast and fading away quicker, I think, than a lot of the projections were showing just a month or two ago. So that'll be impactful when we look ahead in the months ahead with La Nina going away. Have yourself a good Tuesday. We'll have more for you tomorrow.